Well, first of all, it is always nice to be in Baku. Well, I do not know how many times I've been here since 1991, but this beautiful spring morning, I think it's always good to be here. And the second thing, of course, very nice to see many friends around. And this is my pleasure always to be here, because I was in this country in a very dark days as well, the beginning of 1991. But I'm very glad to see that how things are changing in this country very rapidly. Actually, each time I see different Baku, even within a month, and how economy is growing, things are changing. And of course, this is very important when you have a political stability and economic growth together. Of course, I wish to begin by thanking the Center for Strategic Studies under the auspice of President of Azerbaijan, as well as the Embassy of Romania, in its capacity as a NATO contact point, embassy for organizing this important and timely conference. The topic that we are looking today is quite complex and multidimensional. In any case, protracted conflicts always have a certain historical context and particular dynamics around them. I think if we look at this part of the world, now we are 23 years after the Cold War. Still, we do not have security. The world was not able to create security geography in this part of the world. We have problem in the Balkans. We have problem still in the Middle East, and especially in this part of the world, in the Caucasus. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, protracted conflict. Nagorno-Karabakh is one of them. And I will say later that I think international community has failed to deal with this problem. Because when you see that there is no bloodshed, they say, okay, just keep it as it is. But this should not be the case. Because this kind of the problem, if you do not resolve the problem, it may create some real conflict, real problem sometimes in the future. Of course, Nagorno-Karabakh's conflict would be the Cold War period. It was after the Cold War period is one of the important issues in this part of the world. Obviously, the overall historical background related with Nagorno-Karabakh is much deeper. But for the practical purpose, I will refrain from indulging in an extensive academic and historical debate. We have no time to do that. But the Cold War period was, in essence, a polarized structure under the leadership of the USSR in one hand and the US on the other. This polarized nature of the Cold War brought together with it a tight lead on nationalist, ethnic, religious, and similar centrifugal dynamics. The Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has a long historical background. The conflict is in many ways a residual of Soviet period. It is one of the longest lasting frozen conflicts in the South Caucasus, and one that has been defined by great bloodshed and suffering. But we have to be clear that Nagorno-Karabakh is an integral part of Azerbaijan. There was an attempt on the part of Nagorno-Karabakh to secede from Azerbaijan, and this legal attempt was supported by Armenia through military means. Moreover, nearly, as we all know, 1 million Azerbaijanis have been displaced and continue to live away from their homes and towns in which they were born or grow up. And I'm sure there are some friends around this table that's originally they are from Nagorno-Karabakh. They left their home, their land, and everything there. And currently about 20% of Azerbaijani territory is under occupation. Clearly, Any honest attempt for a just and sustainable solution needs first and foremost to remedy these wrongdoings that, by any definition of international law, are illegal. Let me say a few words about the Minsk Group, because I was foreign minister when we decided to establish Minsk Group. It was in the Prague conference, I think, as I remember. Has been engaged in efforts to resolve the problems since the early days of the actual conflict, almost more than 20 years now, if you look back. Unfortunately, it is yet to produce any concrete results. As a member of the Minsk Group, Turkey has traditionally supported its efforts to bring about a peaceful resolution of the conflict within the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. Turkey is currently trying to rekindle this rather stagnant process by introducing new ideas within the Minsk Group and by encouraging increased international attention to the problem. One thing is clear: while the Minsk Group process may be stagnant and there is not a great deal of bloodletting aside from occasional unfortunate incidents, on the line of the contact, the unresolved nature of this conflict poses a danger for international security as well. It's a real security concern for the region and beyond. This is particularly true given the potential for it to easily conflagrate into a conflict of greater proportions. We do not have luxury of assuming all is well, since the conflict is dormant, so to speak. Moreover, the continuing nature of this conflict also brings together with it a considerable opportunity cost, not only for parties to the conflict, but also for the region at large. To better understand the true cost of this conflict for everyone, and particularly for Armenia, let us take a closer look at some important related facts and regional trends, which is His Excellency Aslanov already gave some figure about what is the cost for the region and for the Armenia as well. As South Caucasian countries, Azerbaijan and Armenia are part of the region that serve as a bridge between the East and West, as well as North and South, in one of the most dynamically developing parts of the world. They lie at the heart of the shift that is taking place in the global economy, whose epicenter is gradually moving from the West toward Asia. Azerbaijan's booming economy has exponentially grown in the course of the last decade. As already mentioned, Azerbaijan alone undertakes about 70–80% of the economic activity in the South Caucasus. Its growing economic strength and capacity has positive implications for the region at large. It brings together with it increasing opportunities for regional cooperation, and mutually beneficial projects. Azerbaijan's evolving relationship with Georgia and Turkey on a wide range of issues, as well as their work on common projects, is a good example in this regard. Of course, Turkish economy is concretely getting considerably stronger. Turkey has widened its business interests and activities on a global scale, led by an increasingly experienced and truly professional private sector. Turkey is now the #1 trading partner of Georgia and Azerbaijan, and also enjoys outstanding economic and political relations with Russian Federation. But Turkey and Azerbaijan have a very special and close relationship. The Turkish people have always supported Azerbaijan in their just struggle. The great leader Haydar Aliyev always reminded us that we are one nation, two states. Benefiting from this sound basis, they have together initiated large-scale regional projects. The best-known example of the cooperation are undoubtedly the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan crude oil pipeline and the Balkan-Tbilisi-Erzurum natural gas pipeline. But there are other equally, if not more important projects in the making. The Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway project is one such undertaking. And I think after the end of this project, from London to Beijing by railway will be possible very soon. The magnitude of such a project and opportunities that it will bring together with it speak for themselves. Against such a background, let us now take a closer look at the situation in Armenia. I remember in 1991 when we had first a NATO foreign minister meeting in Brussels. Jimmy Baker was the foreign minister of US and Hovhannisyan was Armenian foreign minister. We tried to resolve the problem at the beginning. And we tried to tell them that to the Armenian foreign minister, the future will be completely different. It will be pipeline transport from Azerbaijan, from Central Asia through Turkey to Europe. And the shortest way will be go through Armenia. And actually we did agree at that time that four of us, the Armenian foreign minister, myself, Jimmy Baker, and Armenian foreign minister, will come together and try to resolve the issue from the first day. But I will never forget, at late night, at around 11 o'clock, Jimmy Baker called me. He said, I'm sorry, Armenian foreign minister will not come. And we all agreed because Azerbaijan was agree with us, and we all, four of us, was at the beginning. Because for any international conflict, it is easy to solve at the beginning. Sooner is better. We have so many examples. Cyprus is one of them, for example. It will be easy to resolve the Cyprus problem in the 1970s. More you wait, it will become difficult. I think what the big opportunity that was lost in December 1991. It was the beginning of the conflict. I think this is a situation that I will never forget. The big opportunity was lost at that time. Well, the Armenian economy is not performing well, we all know, to say it at least. The private sector is dwindling and the country no way presents an exciting investment opportunity for foreign capital. There is great need to introduce a new sense of dynamism to trigger economic growth in that country. Moreover, as a testament to the progression in the country, its population is shrinking. By clinging to a nationalist policy, Armenia is simply prolonging its isolation. Armenia is thereby excluding itself from regional cooperative schemes and developments. I believe it is high time for the Armenian leadership, and particularly for Armenian population, to make a frank assessment. They need to ask themselves some hard questions, particularly about the merit of continuing an illegal occupation. I am very, very aware of the emotion that surrounds the Nagorno-Karabakh issue, and the Armenians have developed strong emotions of their own. But it is incumbent upon Armenian political leaders to manage such emotion in a responsible manner and to channel them in the right direction, which in this case would entail a peaceful resolution of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict according to principle of international law. This would open numerous windows of opportunity for Armenia and the region at large. The difficulty lies in overcoming emotionally loaded, archaic nationalistic policies that have led to the illegal occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh and 7 rayons around it. It is noteworthy that Azerbaijani officials often point out that fact that Armenia could benefit from regional cooperation schemes and economic developments should it move towards ending the occupation. By the way, I want to give you another example. For example, we as Turkey, we recognized Armenian independence at the beginning with all other Central Asian republics. Of course, Armenia, well, Azerbaijan was before anybody else, because Turkey first recognized Azerbaijan, I think it's about autumn 91, later on the others. And the one thing is clear, the border was open. I want to just mention it to all of you. The border was open between Turkey and Azerbaijan and Armenia. And I was foreign minister at that time. Why we closed the border when they started to occupy rayons around the Nagorno-Karabakh? And for that reason, I'm saying always that since the rayon is under occupation, it will be very, very difficult. Well, it's not be possible for Turkey to open the border, because the reason is there. Especially the 5 rayon that nothing to do with Nagorno-Karabakh, because Kelbecer and Lachin, the corridor Nagorno-Karabakh. But the other 5s, nothing to do with Nagorno-Karabakh. They are completely 100% different from the Nagorno-Karabakh, and they are under occupation. And I think would be the good gesture if Armenia will start to move or to remove occupation from those 5 rayons, would be the good point to start peaceful solution for the region. But unfortunately, during the discussion, even in Geneva, they haven't were able to do that. Well, I think international community, I think I would urge Armenia to seize the opportunity. This would not entail a defeat for Armenia, but would actually entail a win for all, including Russia and other regional actors. It will also pave the way for better relation between Armenia and Turkey, and of course Azerbaijan as a first. The international community, including NATO and all other international community, should encourage Armenia to take this right and long overdue step. Together with Azerbaijan and Turkey, countries like Russia and the United States, as well as the European Union and NATO, should contribute to the full normalization of the situation in the South Caucasus according to principle of international law, with full respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of states. We should together help bring about a fresh start in the region based on mutual benefits and common interests. Naturally, each and every international organization that has interest to do so can bring an added value to this process. This includes NATO. Now, at the end, I have a few words about NATO, because, as mentioned, I was NATO senior representative in Afghanistan for 3 years. I spent 3 years in Afghanistan, and I worked as a NATO representative, and I do know that NATO can do and cannot do. Obviously, given the nature of NATO, it is not in a position to directly contribute to the resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh problem on a political sphere. Yet, it should continue its activities in areas where it is competent and thereby make an indirect contribution to the process. First and foremost, NATO should continue to deepen its links with both Azerbaijan and Armenia. NATO's experience on institutional capacity building in the area of defense and security are very important. Moreover, Armenia and Azerbaijan are both Partnership for Peace members. This is a useful platform for dialogue and cooperation for NATO with these countries, and it's also a good opportunity for Azerbaijan and Armenia to interact. NATO should try to benefit from these tools and devise creative ideas that could bring the two countries together in a mutually beneficial fashion. I am well aware that this may sound rather idealistic at this very moment. But if and when there is a paradigm shift in the way of thinking in Armenia, and when we finally see light at the end of the tunnel for the resolution of the conflict, the opportunities that such fora provide for increased cooperation will immediately multiply. I think NATO, US, Russia, and other countries has no luxury to just sit and wait until something may happen in the future, because we have to find a way to resolve the issue. To sum up, I can say from experience that political will is key to resolving such protracted conflicts. If and when it can be displayed and coupled with strong leadership, the understandably deep emotion of publics at large can be made into a source of strength for a peaceful solution. The international community also has an important role to play, particularly in encouraging a just, sustainable, and peaceful solution. We should all continue to highlight the benefits of reaching comprehensive peace and full-scale normalization in the South Caucasus for all. Let us work to this end by respecting international law and also by challenging cliché and overcoming deep-rooted emotions that have disallowed a solution that in reality is within grasp. Let us challenge the political leaders of the day to initiate such a paradigm shift that can change the course of history to the benefit of future generations. Because we have to think about the future generation. And I think this part of the world, it is so important that we have to change our mind and work very hard to resolve the problem.